organization, or as the South Carolina Department of Commerce calls them, an allied partner. And this year, that co-host with us is South Carolina Apex Accelerator. But before we get underway and I hand it off to Apex, I just want to give you an update on SC Aerospace and the or on the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the South Carolina Council on Competitiveness is a statewide business-led nonprofit that works to improve the long-term competitiveness of the state of South Carolina and a number of its industries. Um, our main industry clusters include SC Aerospace, which is what you are all here for today. But we also have SC Tech, working in the state's tech economy, and SC Logistics, which works in everything that gets goods and people throughout the state, whether it's rail, trucking, shipping, maritime, anything like that. We also have a matching research dollars uh, that the state provides to companies that want to do research projects with our universities, called the SC Fraunhofer USA Alliance. And lastly, we have a K through 12 specific initiative called Transform SC. Like I said, I lead SC Aerospace, and our goal is to connect, support, and grow the aerospace industry throughout the state of South Carolina. And one of the ways that we do that is by helping businesses to diversify their portfolio and grow their business and look for new opportunities to sell their product or partner with other companies throughout the state, so that we can all thrive together. And that is what brings us here today. But before I hand it over to Snell, I would like to just first welcome Cynthia Davis from the South Carolina Department of Commerce, and she's going to talk to you a couple minutes about an upcoming webinar and program that the Commerce Department will be doing that should affect the same group here in trying to grow your business. Cynthia, over to you.
Unmute. Awesome. Okay, good deal. Alrighty, so as Stephen said, thank you for having me today. And I am the existing industry team lead for South Carolina Department of Commerce. And we have folks out in the field that can come to your companies and talk about just in general, what are your goals and what are your challenges, and how we can connect you to both our in-house resources here at Department of Commerce, but then also state resources such as SC Competes. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so one of those resources that I want to talk to you about today is a cybersecurity grant. We have been awarded 2 previous cybersecurity grants that we call SECAP, or South Carolina Cybersecurity Assistance Program. Those 2 previous grants were only for Department of Defense businesses. However, this Phase 3 grant, which is being led by SCMEP, and is also being funded by the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce, expands that cybersecurity opportunity outside of Department of Defense. So if you are one of those DoD companies that is in the supply chain but did not get an opportunity previously for SECAP, you have an opportunity now. And then if you are not in the DoD supply chain but want help with cybersecurity, this grant is for you. So it is 10% client copay, 90% of the grant funding, and you see that we've already designated our vendors. We have great experience with Needling Worldwide and Elliott Davis in their deliverables. On here you can see the ISOs that we are offering, the cost, and then the NIST 800-171 or CMMC. So CMMC is specific for Department of Defense supply chain companies. There's also 2 open enrollment educational workshops that are being offered, and you can get more information and the application form for these grants through SEMEP. And all of these slides are going to be shared with our participants and those that registered afterwards, so that you can click and go to it to learn more information. Next slide. So the other grant I want to talk to you about is a brand new one, and it is specific to Department of Defense, so you have to be in the supply chain. It's called Catalyst because a catalyst is a chemical reaction that helps boost and start something. Um, so it's kind of exciting that we have advanced manufacturing technologies out there that are available. However, some of our small and medium-sized companies don't have access to those advanced manufacturing technologies. So this is in partnership with SEMEP, DEW and Commerce, our Golden Triangle, that we are working together, and it starts on Thursday. So that's the reference that Stephen made, that we do have an informational webinar coming up this Thursday, and I'll show you the link to that in just a moment. But the main elements of this grant is first, an MEP Industry 4.0 assessment. So that is going to be free for everyone that is granted a Catalyst grant. Then an AMT pilot project. So after that Industry 4.0 assessment, really looking at an analysis of what best fits your needs and what is, the next level, the next step for your manufacturing business. It could be lean training, it could be quality management system training, or it could be classes. Next slide. So as I said before, the Industry 4.0 assessment is the starting point. And then once that is determined, is this going to be a good fit for this company to do an advanced manufacturing technology pilot project? If yes, then together with MEP, a vendor will be selected, a proposal, and then it will be submitted for approval and funding to DEW. If that is a no, we still want to work with that company and do either lean or QMS, quality management system implementation, to help modernize that company. So that's the catalyst part, taking it from one level and boosting it to the next level. Next slide, please. So the webinar we have coming up is this Thursday at 10 a.m., and that is the registration link for the webinar. If you want to learn more about the Catalyst Grant specifically, eligibility rules, you have to be a business within South Carolina, brick and mortar, for at least 1 year. You have to employ at least 4 employees or more, and you have to be in manufacturing. So I'll have to check the NAICS code and make sure that it lines up with 3132 or 33 as the beginning numbers. So those are the eligibility requirements. You can be headquartered outside of South Carolina or the United States, but we do have to have that brick and mortar presence here in the state. Does anyone have any questions about either the SECAP Phase 3 cybersecurity opportunity or the Catalyst grant? Okay, if you think of something, just put it in the chat or let us know, and we'll make sure that Stephen and Essie Competes gets these slides over to you. Okay, I'll turn it back over to you, Stephen.
Great, thanks, Cynthia. We really appreciate that update and advertisement, if you will, for that. And now I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to hand it over to Tanel Felder from Apex Accelerator. And if I can just say to thank Cynthia one more time, because the reason that we came up with this was because Tanel and I had met at the Allied Partner meeting in Columbia. So thank you to Cynthia for creating that environment where we can all collaborate and work together. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Tanel.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you so much. And we are happy to be here today. I'm just getting my various screens situated. But yes, thank you for that introduction, Stephen. And my name is Tanel Felder, and I am the Marketing and Communications Manager for South Carolina Apex Accelerators. And so today we're just going to be going over a little bit more information about government contracting, specifically within the federal space. And so during this presentation, we're going to look at a industry snapshot with the aerospace industry. We will look at NAICS codes that are used, as well as the agencies that typically buy those NAICS codes. We'll also take a look at the DoD's critical and emerging technologies list. And then we'll go over some federal contracting basics. So like SAM, purchasing thresholds, and market research. So we'll look briefly into that. And then I'll go into the services that we offer at SC Apex and how we can assist your business with government contracting if that is something that you choose to pursue. Okay, so just a quick rundown of who, can you all see my screen? Is it sharing?
Yep, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, so just a quick rundown of who we are. So South Carolina Apex Accelerator, we are a part of the Department of Defense's Apex Accelerators program. So the original program was established by Congress in 1985 under the Department of Defense's Defense Logistics Agency. Now we have been moved to, under the Office of Small Business Programs. So the same program, we're doing the same things, just a name change, and now under different management within the DoD. There's about 96 Apex centers nationwide. Currently, we are servicing those in businesses in the state of South Carolina, as well as North Carolina, while they are working on getting their Apex center. And so the mission of Apex Accelerators is to build strong, sustainable, and resilient U.S. supply chains by assisting a wide range of businesses that pursue and perform under contracts with the Department of Defense, other federal agencies, state and local governments, and with government prime contractors. And so that's what we'll be talking a little bit about today. Later, I'll go a little bit more into our services. We serve all 46 counties, and we do not charge for our services. We are hosted at the University of South Carolina, as well as a partner agency of the South Carolina Department of Commerce. Okay, so we're just going to look here briefly into a snapshot. And so I got this information from governmentspending.gov, and which is a great resource if you ever want to research and really look into seeing the different industries and what is spent in each industry. So I got this information by searching for the what was spent by the Department of Defense during fiscal year 22 and 23. And so these are the awards to U.S. businesses in the aerospace product and parts manufacturing industry. And so as you can see here, that's going to be the NAICS code 3364. And then you can see there 641. And then you can see within that NAICS codes, the different specific NAICS codes that kind of break out from that. And NAICS stands for the North American Industry Classification System. And so that's just a standard used by the federal government to codify the different industries that exist. And so to kind of help keep track of those and to see what all those are. So I'm sure you're familiar with those. I just wanted to briefly explain that in case this is the first time you might have heard the term NAICS. But that's when I'm saying NAICS codes, that's what I'm referring to, that acronym for that. Let's see. Okay, so agencies too within the Department of Defense who made these awards include the Department of Air Force, Department of Army, the Defense Logistics Agency, and the Missile Defense Agency. So all of those kind of sub-agencies are the ones that contributed to that $109 billion spent by the Department of Defense within those specific NAICS codes dealing with the aerospace industry. Okay, and so now I wanted to include quickly the list of critical and emerging technologies. So because we are part of the DoD, they sent us a list of what they are interested in and the businesses that they really want us to recruit to assist. And so the DoD is particularly interested in doing business with the industries that are included on this list. And these critical and emerging technologies are a subset of advanced technologies that are potentially significant to U.S. national security. So you can see here on this list, I think it's about 21, if I am correct, but it's about these different technology areas are really what the DoD is looking into. And so I've just included a quote on here from the subcommittee who provided this list, and just really looking at the fact that there would be an incentives to research and develop technologies that support national security missions. And so these are just some of the lists that are some of the technology areas that they are looking forward to. And I wanted to include this because, you know, advanced manufacturing is on here. And so that would include many of what you all are today. And so I just wanted to point that out and let you know that that is considered to be a key technology area. Okay, so now we're just going to look into some basics of federal government contracting. And the purpose of this section is to give you a high-level overview of some of the ways that you might want to start thinking about how your company, how your business can become engaged within the federal contracting sector. And so we'll look at these different parts of this. And if you have any questions, feel free to jot them down, and we might be able to address some of those at the end. But again, the purpose of this is just to give kind of a high level view and hopefully to help you start thinking of ways that you can get engaged within this sphere. So for the federal government contracting, you will need to be registered in SAM. I'm sure that if any of you have any previous experience with federal government contracting, or even just trying to get a federal award or grant, that you are familiar with SAM. And so I just want to point out a couple of things about this. For those of you who are not familiar with this platform, SAM stands for the System for Award Management. So it's sam.gov, and it is the federal government's registration system for government contracting. I always like to point out that sam.gov is free to use. There is no cost to register for SAM or to use SAM. And I mention this because there are businesses that provide services for SAM assistance for a fee. And so we've had clients who've come to us who said they paid around like $500, $600 for a company to help them register with SAM. We actually had a client who came to us and they had paid around that fee, and then the company wasn't handing them over the administration for their own SAM account. So they weren't even able to get to their own SAM account. I'm not saying that that's the case with every company, but the moral of the story is just to that there are government organizations such as ours where we offer this assistance free of charge. And so definitely you can come to us for this type of assistance instead of paying for it. And if you will also go to the SAM website, it states on there that it's free to use. And again, the reason for that is that some people think that they have to pay for SAM assistance and that you have to pay to use the website, and that is not the case. So not to belabor the point, but just definitely keep that in mind if you are having to engage with SAM. And so registering your entity on SAM is required to bid on federal contracts. And entity is just the word for your business. SAM refers to it as your entity. But so if you hear me mention entity, I just mean your business or your company. But to compete for federal contracts that are valued at $25K and above, your entity must be registered in SAM to do business with the federal government. You also need to be registered on SAM to apply for federal assistance awards, so such as grants or loans. And we will talk about that point that I just spoke about, how SAM includes contract opportunities for acquisitions greater than 25,000. We'll be talking about that a little later when we go over purchasing thresholds and explain why that is important to understand where certain opportunities are based on the dollar value. But we'll discuss that later. SAM registration is also required to apply for some SBA socioeconomic certifications. Again, we'll look a little more in depth into this later to see how that might apply to your business or your company and why you might want to consider getting a particular socioeconomic certification. And the entity data from SAM, so from your SAM registration, is going to be pulled for the dynamic small business search. And I'm actually going to bring this up quickly just to show you all. So this is a dynamic small business search. It's a search engine that is used by SBA. There we go. Okay, I wanted to make it so that you can see in the screen, but it is a search engine that is used by the Small Business Administration, and really anyone has access to it, but particularly it's used by contracting officers who are interested in looking up specific businesses. And so this is a great way to be found. You want to make sure that, you know, all of your information is in order. As you can see here, there's a tab for government certifications. So if I'm a contracting officer and I want to find a woman-owned small business, I would click that, and I could really narrow down what state, the NAICS code, all of these different things. And now there is let me see if I can find it on here. Okay, I don't see it on this page, but there is a way that you can include your capability statement, which I will discuss a little later. But now you can also include your capability statement to where it will be on your dynamic small business search profile. So the whole purpose of that, and why I showed you that, was just when you register on SAM, when you register your entity on SAM, the SBA uses that information to populate what shows up for your business in the dynamic small business search tool. So definitely want to keep that in mind as to when you're filling out your SAM information. And let's see, just want to make sure that I mentioned everything about the DSBS. Yep, okay, got that. Okay, so next we are going to look at understanding purchasing thresholds. And so within federal acquisitions, there are three main purchasing thresholds that dictate the procedures that are used, the acquisition procedures that are used. And so those acquisition procedures are the methods under which goods and services are purchased. So there are three main purchasing thresholds that we have. Oh, there we go. Did not mean to do that. Okay, so there are three main purchasing thresholds that we have here. And so we have the micro purchase threshold, simplified acquisition threshold, and then above that simplified acquisition threshold, as we can see here. So why am I mentioning any of this? Well, these thresholds are important to understand because they dictate how and where solicitations are posted, how many vendors need to be sought, if small business set-asides are used, and which procedures can be used when making these purchases. And so this is important for your company, for your business, if you are interested in federal government contracting, knowing that information. So when you see, knowing that information, if you want to target a specific dollar range, or if you're interested in maybe what are called smaller purchases, which I'll go into a little bit later, you'll know where to go to look for those opportunities. You'll know how to specifically find those different opportunities and what you need to do to kind of put yourself ahead in the game. And this is something that our counselors also discuss with their clients, but I did just want to go over that briefly here. So we will look at why those things are important for companies to understand as we look at each of the thresholds. So as we discuss this, just a little disclaimer, there are many intricacies within the thresholds that are covered in the federal acquisition regulation. So I'm just going to give an overview to help you gain understanding. If you are interested to look more into that, you can find that within the FAR. And they have different sections that are pertaining to those different purchasing thresholds. But the first one, the micro purchase threshold, is going to be at 10K for general purchases. So 10,000 for general purchases. The amount changes based on the services. So if it's construction or if it's services acquisition subject to service contracts in construction. And so that's the change you might have there, but just in general, it's going to be $10,000 for general purchases. And also, I think it's important to know for this industry, the micro purchase threshold is a little bit more for that. It's actually twice that. It's 20,000 for contingency or emergency operations that are related to national security or defense. And so that amount goes up a bit for that. So just 10,000 for general purchases, 20,000 for emergency operations that are related to national security or defense. So a micro purchase within this threshold, a micro purchase is a purchase or supply of services that does not exceed that $10,000 mark. So that's all that means when you hear that. And solicitations under the micro purchase threshold can be purchased without competition. And the preferred method of procurement is the government purchase card. So this is a quicker and simpler acquisition, what you might refer to as small purchases. So if you are if your business is interested in also looking kind of into that arena, saying, okay, we might want to do business or do some of our business, acquiring some of these small purchases, you want to keep in mind that you want to connect with contract officers, small business liaison officers, or SBA commercial market representative. They can really help you with knowing about these smaller purchases, because these particular purchases are not going to be advertised on System for Award Management. So you're not going to see them on SAM because they are considered on the lower end. Let me caveat, they do not have to be posted on SAM. So it's very likely that these type of purchases will be made based on relationships, networking, having certain knowledge about solicitations and acquisitions. And also for this particular threshold, small business set-asides are not mandatory. Now for the next one, for the simplified acquisition threshold, that's going to be from 10,000 to 250,000. So solicitations that are above the $25,000 threshold must be displayed on SAM. So that is where you're going to go when you go to SAM and you look in contract opportunities. They have like a search thing there. You could even put in your NAICS, contract opportunities, and what you will come up, these are going to be those acquisitions that are in that higher dollar amount. So you can find those opportunities on SAM. If your business qualifies for a small business set aside through the SBA socioeconomic certification, so that's just your woman-owned small business, your veteran-owned small business, 8A, HubZone, etc. Those are the mandatory small business set aside requirements. So within that, within the simplified acquisition threshold, there are going to be awards that are set aside exclusively for small businesses, which is important to understand that having that certification might put you at an advantage, because there'll be less competition for that particular award that you might be looking at. So the exception to this, there's always an exception, the federal government. The exception to this is that if there is a reasonable expectation that at least two small business concerns cannot submit competitive offers in terms of fair market prices, quality, or delivery. And this is determined through market research. So looking to see if that is indeed the case is determined through market research. So sources sought are questionnaires. Briefly, just want to give an example of how we've kind of seen this in action. We have relationships with various, military bases throughout the state. And we met and spoke with John O'Connor. He is with Nywick Atlantic. And he spoke about how it was kind of frustrating for him because he would be the one who would be in charge of doing these set-aside contracts for small businesses. And he says oftentimes the small businesses just weren't responding to the inquiries. And so something that he knows would be beneficial to set aside for small business, he wasn't able to, because he didn't get that response from small business saying, yes, we can provide this service. So just a side note there that if you are involved in federal contracting, you're interested in it, reply to those sources sought, and you will also see those on SAM as well, but reply to those sources sought, let them know that, hey, I'm a small business and I can fulfill this need for the federal government so that it can be set aside. So that's very important. Just wanted to highlight that fact as well. Let's see. Okay, and then the last point here is that the purchasing threshold you have above the simplified acquisition threshold. And so opportunities in this threshold that are, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention this. This is an important point. So we're going to go back to the simplified acquisition threshold. So it's going to step back to the blue. But so opportunities in this threshold that are from 15,000 to 25,000 range, they must be displayed publicly, but not on SAM. So where do you find them then? If they're not on SAM, but they must be displayed publicly, that is where you would want to go to the agency's website. And again, this is something that our counselors assist our clients with in helping them to determine, but that is important to note. Just keep that in mind, have that in the back of your head, that though the acquisitions in that dollar amount have to be displayed publicly, but they are not going to necessarily be on SAM. So if you're interested in that range, you're going to want to go to the agency websites. You're going to want to go to those people that I mentioned earlier that might be able to help alert you to when these certain opportunities are coming out. And that's also where Apex, where we also play a role as well. We will have access to forecast opportunities, things of that nature, from different agencies or from different military bases of what they're looking for. So that can be another way as well to be aware of the acquisitions that are within that threshold. So important to note. Okay. All right, so back to the final threshold. This last one we have in this pink, looking at above the simplified acquisition threshold level. So that's for acquisitions that are from 250,000 to 7.5 million. And so it is important to know for this that according to FAR 19.702, these awards must incorporate small business contracting plans. So if you are a small business, probably want to kind of pay attention to that, but any contractor receiving a contract with a value greater than the simplified acquisition threshold must agree in the contract that small business, veteran-owned small business, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, HUBZone, small business, small disadvantaged business, and women-owned small business concerns will have the maximum practical opportunity to participate in contract performance consistent with its efficient performance. So that's another important thing as well too. You also want to keep in mind subcontracting opportunities, especially within that range, that there will be a subcontracting plan that is required. And there is a website with the SBA I did not hyperlink it, but if you go to sba.gov, they have a list of the prime contractors who need subcontracting plans. So that can be helpful as well. You can search within your particular NAICS to find that information. Okay, market research. We already talked a little bit about this, so not to belabor the point, but I'll just go into looking more into market research and how it could be beneficial to you. So market research encompasses identifying the specific agencies that purchase your company's goods or services, and as well as having a marketing plan for how to know about existing and upcoming solicitations, which is kind of what we just spoke about. So as we can see here, how and where can you find opportunities? I'm going to mention a service that our organization offers called BidMatch. And so BidMatch is our electronic search service that alerts clients to relevant federal, state, and local government bid opportunities. As you can see here, we have a testimonial from one of our clients called Crank Marketing Group, and they were able to find success on our bid match for some state contracts. There's also another client of ours who was also able to find a state contract up in Vermont. It was another marketing firm, and that opportunity came to them through Bid Match. And so that is something that we offer our clients to assist them in finding this particular information. And so that's for the Bid Match section of it. And then we also have there is the DLA's Internet Bid Board System. It is a also known as DIBS. So that's that DIBS point we see marked there. But DIBS is a web-based application that provides the capability to search for, view, and submit secure quotes on requests for quotations for the Defense Logistics Agency items of supply. And so DIB also allows users to search and view requests for proposals, invitation for bid, award, and other procurement information related to the DLA. So if you are interested in specifically working with the Defense Logistics Agency, the DIBS board is definitely something that you want to keep tabs on and look into, and you could use that to find opportunities as well. We've already talked about SAM, and we've already really talked about the networking and public solicitations. But yeah, just keep all this in mind for market research, how you might want to go about finding these different opportunities. Okay, so federal socioeconomic certifications. We've already mentioned it a little bit earlier in the presentation. And so now I just really want to explain how you can use these certifications to your advantage if you qualify for them. And so we'll be looking at that, but SBA certifications, and SBA stands for the Small Business Administration. And the certifications will include your woman-owned small business and economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business, veteran-owned small business, service-disabled veteran-owned small business, hub zone, and 8A. So these certifications qualify businesses for federal contracting assistance programs. And these programs are designed to help small businesses win at least 23% of all federal contracting dollars each year through small business set-asides. And a small business set-aside is a government contract that restricts competition to a specific small business demographic. So all those demographics we just mentioned, whether that be woman-owned or veteran-owned, or if your business is in a hub zone, those are the set-asides that it is referring to. And so of that 23%, woman-owned small businesses have a 5% contracting dollar award goal. Small disadvantaged businesses have the 12% goal. Service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses have a 3% goal, and hub zone small businesses have a 3% contracting dollar award goal. And so these goals are used by federal agencies to determine their set-aside contracts, and they do strive to meet these goals. I know we worked with Barbara Bonet about a year or so ago, and she is down with the Joint Base in Charleston. And so at that time, they were having a difficult time trying to meet their hub zone goals. So they were looking for hub zone certified small businesses that they would be able to provide contracts and opportunities to. So that really, I think, explains in a nutshell the importance of having those certifications if you qualify for them. And that is something that, again, we can assist with. We help our clients get certified within those different avenues. And as a quick plug, we are having a woman small business, not just for women-owned small businesses, but just women-owned businesses, federal contracting workshop on October 10th. So if that's something you're interested in, if you head to our website, which will be on the last slide, I'll show you all that, but you can register for that as well. And we will be doing a deep dive into the WOSB certification. Okay, your capability statement. So this is going to be an important marketing tool for your business for networking. Capability statements are now able to be uploaded on DSBS, which we looked at a little bit earlier. So you want to have one if you don't. And just a brief definition of what a capability statement is. It's basically a resume for your business. And so yeah, we have here, think of it as your business's resume. And its purpose is to provide specific information that will convince potential customers to do business with you. And so these are the 5 main sections that we encourage our clients to make sure they include on their capability statement. We have a couple of trainings that we do with our clients to help them to create a capability statement if they don't have one. And if they do have one, we are able to look at it and review that with them just to make sure that everything is looking good and that it is presented in a way to help them to get that business. So again, this is something we go into more into depth with our clients and helping them to produce this document. Okay, so now I just want to go briefly into our services that we offer. So we provide assistance to existing and prospective DoD suppliers who are looking to improve their capabilities and expand their presence in the government contracting arena. And so our services can encompass guiding you through the DoD's and SBA's mentor protege programs, staying up to date on upcoming government opportunities, which I spoke about a little bit earlier, looking at those acquisition forecasts, determining high demand NAICS codes, and we also help our clients receive timely notification of relevant purchasing opportunities during the planning and forecasting stages. As we get that information, we share it with our clients. And again, this is just more information, specific information about what we do here. You see here we have SAM assistance. We assist with wide area workflow, as well as DIBS if you want assistance looking through that. We also provide education, training. We can also assist you with reviewing solicitations and preparing a proposal if that is something that you need to do. And so for solicitation review as well, just want to go a little bit more explaining what that is. Our counselors can help clients understand what to look for example, identifying and explaining the directions for responding bidders, identifying the evaluation factors for an award, looking at how an award will be judged, knowing information on the procuring agency. So ultimately, the client is responsible for solicitations they want to pursue. We act in an advisory role. So we don't tell them, hey, you need to go and bid on this. This is the price to use. We don't do that. We cannot do that, but we can advise you and provide information to allow you to make the best decision for your business about looking into that. And this is our intake process. I wanted to include this because a lot of times people want to understand what does that really look like. And so these are just some of our client considerations we have up here. We want a South Carolina-based business. If you have multiple locations, your principal office is in South Carolina. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we are assisting North Carolina businesses while they are still getting their Apex Accelerator Center together. And so we are assisting with that. The business is in operation and the business has the ability to gather needed resources to fulfill a contract. So if you're interested in becoming a client, I'm just going to go ahead and pull up our website really quickly. So that link will take you here. We also have a contracting readiness list. If you would want to go over that to make sure that you are ready to kind of begin that process, but you would just sign up here and you would begin filling out that information. And so the applications are reviewed by our administrative coordinator. You are either accepted as a client, or if there are areas that need development, then we like to refer to a community partner. But yes, we are accepting clients currently. And again, just want to encourage you all, if this is something that you're interested in, we would love to take you on as a client. We would love to have you sign up and to assist you as you navigate government contracting. And that is the end of my presentation. I will.
Great, thank you, Tanel.
Yes.
That was very very informative. We appreciate it. We did have a couple questions that came in.
Sure.
And so they're on the chat here, so I'll just read them out. But if anybody else wants to chime in too with your question, please feel free. But Sandra Kresbach uh, or Krebsbach was asking if a nonprofit can register.
So that is a great question. So nonprofits, we can assist you. We can assist a nonprofit with SAM registration if they're having issue with that, and as well as if they are trying to go after a loan or anything in that federal space. In that instance, we can assist nonprofits. Outside of those conditions, we are not allowed to assist small profits, but like we can assist with SAM registration. So anything having to do with that.
Can I ask a follow-up question? We are in a DOL grant with Ivy Tech, and we're in as somebody who helps disseminate the information. Is it possible for it's the American Technical Education Association, and we're national. We do have our main office in Minneapolis, but we work all across the country. Can we be listed as a partner in an application? And what you're saying is if we have a company based in South Carolina, we could be maybe a joint applicant?
Are you referring as to being a client of South Carolina Apex?
Well, this is my first time on this call. What I want to do is expand ATA into more federal grants because we do support different sectors, and aerospace, of course, is a sector. Just wondering how we can participate in this type of grant application. If we were to do one ourselves, we would have to be based in South Carolina, just like anybody else. What I'm wondering is if we can be listed as a partner in dissemination.
So that, okay, yes. So I see what you're asking. I believe I see what you're asking.
Well, I think it's formed as I started talking. So
yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. Okay. And so that principal office is in, was that Michigan?
No, it's in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Okay. So what you would want to do for that is, let me see if I can put in the chat. I will put in the chat the Apex Accelerator's main website, and then you could go and find the contact information for the Apex Accelerator where your principal office is located.
I did find them. I would rather work with South Carolina.
Okay, well, I'm not sure about that. I will have to check and look into that to see if we can do that, if we would be allowed to do that. Could you provide me with your email address, and I can look into that and get back to you with that information?
Sure, I'll just put it in the chat.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Great, thanks, Sandra. And then before I go to the next question, I just want to let everybody know as well, if you go to the chat, the slides that Cynthia had shown earlier, we have those available in the chat, so go in there and download them if you can during our next question. But Elaine Avila is asking, how long does it take to become a client?
Yeah, that process, it usually about 3 or 4 days. It can, in some instances, it can take a week if we have an influx of clients coming through, but it takes about 3 to 4 days to get through and to get that that response email back from our administrative coordinator.
Great. Well, we are coming up on our time window here, so I'll just we'll put out one more call for questions. If anybody's got anything, feel free to throw it in the chat or just unmute yourself. But hearing none, I guess, I would just like to thank Tanel again for coming on and going over this information for us. This is very valuable for the aerospace industry, and really thank you again. It just helps us to connect, support, and grow the industry, which is what we're here for. So with that, if anybody's got any follow-ons or anything, please feel free to reach out to me or Tanel there. Her email is on the screen, And other than that, thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thanks for
Thank
having us.
you.